story begins with showing a grandma named Malsoon. She is a 74-year-old widow who lives with her son's family. Malsoon has a son named Hyunchul. He is a lecturer at a university. Malsoon used to live a very difficult life after losing her husband. When she was young, Malsoon struggled alone to raise and support her son. But in her old age, Malsoon is now a very stubborn, rude, and talkative woman. She likes to manage people arbitrarily, like a granny in general. Malsoon is always fussy about all the movements of her daughter-in-law named Aija. Aija has to take a sedative because of Malsoon's nature towards her. She can only calm down when Malsoon leaves for work. Malsoon works at a cafe for the elderly with her childhood friend, Mr. Park. Malsoon herself has a mortal enemy named Okja, who is a flirtatious woman. The two of them never got along, like in the Tom and Jerry cartoons. Whenever the two of them met, there was always a problem. Today, Okja, who came to tease Mr. Park, it upsets Malsoon. This suddenly makes Malsoon run to Okja to teach her a lesson. Mr. Park tried to break up the fight, but he got hit in the face and he had a nosebleed. After returning home, Mr. Park is advised by his daughter, Nayoung. She advises her father to stay away from Malsoon because she always causes her dad trouble. However, his father always defends Malsoon. Not long after, Malsoon appeared in front of Mr. Park and brought him peaches. After that, Mr. Park offers to take Malsoon home on his scooter. Nayoung can't help but think about her father, even though he has an allergy to peaches. But he still accepts gifts from Malsoon. Actually, Malsoon doesn't know that Mr. Park has an allergy to peaches. Please note that since childhood, Mr. Park has actually had feelings for Malsoon. However, Malsoon doesn't realize this. The next day, Malsoon is seen scolding Aija for cooking the soup wrong. At the same time, Malsoon's grandson, Jiha, tries to sneak out to go outside. He plays music with the band. His mother is not a fan of his hobby. Aija always reminds her son to study harder at school. Unlike his mother, his grandmother really supports Jiha's hobbies. Even Malsoon gives Jiha some money so he can audition and chase his dream. Actually, Malsoon used to have dreams of being a singer. But her dreams had to be dashed due to circumstances. After Jiha leaves, Aija tries to tell Malsoon to let her take care of the kids. It seemed like Aija wanted to make sure everyone knew that her mother-in-law wouldn't get involved in her family's business. Due to her stubborn nature, Malsoon says that she doesn't agree with what Okja told her. She feels that when it comes to educating children, she is much more experienced than her daughter-in-law. This makes Okja even more stressed. Until finally, she fell ill and had to be hospitalized. The doctor who treated her said to Hyunchul that his wife needed to rest in a quiet environment. When they return home, Hyunchul discusses an idea with his two children for the grandmother to be sent to a nursing home. His daughter Hana agreed, but Jiha disagrees with that. It turns out that Malsoon overheard the conversation and she feels sad. Malsoon thinks that his son doesn't care about her feelings at all. Malsoon's mood is broken. When a woman comes to visit her at work, it turns out that the woman was Malsoon's former boss in the past. And she says that Malsoon has stolen the secret recipe of her family restaurant. Then, Malsoon boldly opens her own business in the same city. This made the woman's restaurant bankrupt. Malsoon could only remain speechless. When she chose to leave the cafe, the woman didn't just let her go. Then she beats up Malsoon. Without defending herself, Malsoon admits tearfully, Mao Soon admits that she stole the recipe in the past. But she did it in order to support her young child, who did not have a father. Finally, Mao Soon pours out all the burdens of life that she has kept to herself all this time. After work, Mao Soon decides to hang out at a bus stop. Her tears were still streaming down her face. She still remembers the events that happened at her workplace. Mao Soon feels very sad because the son she has fought for doesn't love her. In fact, he intends to send Mao Soon to a nursing home. The desperate Mao Soon thinks that everyone doesn't like her and doesn't need her anymore. At that moment, Mao Soon accidentally sees a photo studio across the street. She decided to go there. Mao Soon saw a poster of Audrey Hepburn plastered on the studio window. Finally, she entered the studio, and she started to make her face as beautiful as possible. Because Mao Soon thinks that this is the last photo that she will use as a funeral portrait if she dies. But the photographer tells Mao Soon that he will make her look 50 years younger.
하나, 둘, 셋.
The sound of camera shots and the flash of the flash signaled that Mao Soon had just finished shooting. Suddenly, a miracle happened. When Mao Soon goes home on the bus, there are 3 young men who tease her. Mao Soon is angry and confused at the same time. Before she realized there was something strange about her, it was only when Mao Soon saw her reflection in the mirror that she realized that she was getting young again. It turns out that Mao Soon's body has now turned into a 20-year-old girl. Mao Soon panicked and headed to the pharmacy to buy a sedative for herself. When she tried to return to the location of the photo studio, she was more surprised because the photo studio had disappeared and turned into a restaurant. Mao Soon tries to ask the restaurant owner about the photo studio, but the woman who owns the restaurant insists that there is no photo studio in this area. She said that she had been in the restaurant business for 10 years in the area. Then Mao Soon gives up, and she doesn't dare go home, finally decided to sleep in a nursing home. There, Mao Soon has a nightmare, where her son, daughter-in-law, and 2 grandchildren laugh happily when they think she is dead. After Mao Soon wakes up, she decides to enjoy the second chance that God has given her. Mao Soon looks happy because she can return to having a fit body and a beautiful face. Now she could do things she had never done before. She went from shopping for clothes at the mall, changing her hairstyle, and buying shoes that she used to only see. Then Mao Soon went to her close friend's house, Mr. Park. She plans to rent a room to stay. Mao Soon disguises herself and changes her identity to Duri, which she means Audrey. After Duri finds a place to stay, at night, she goes to her son's house and leaves a letter on the fence to let her know that she is fine. There she presented a song, where the performance was a success and wowed all the cafe visitors. Duri's appearance just now was seen by his grandson, Ji-ha, who happened to come to find news about his grandmother from Mr. Park's. Sung-woo, a record producer looking for new talent, also happened to be there. Then Duri immediately ran for fear that Ji-ha would recognize her. Ji-ha and Sung-woo run after Duri. They plan to recruit Duri after hearing a golden voice from her. The next day, Ji-ha visited Mr. Park's, and he accidentally sees Duri. Ji-ha ventured to invite Duri to go have a drink together. Duri suspects that Jiha has a crush on her. But it turns out Jiha asked Duri to be the vocalist in his band. He shared that his band failed the audition because the vocalist couldn't quit smoking and was always drunk. Because Duri could not bear to see her grandson, she finally accepted the request from her grandson. The next day, Duri meets up with members of her grandson's band. When she saw the metal performances and music they played, Duri could only be stunned to see it. Then she said that their music was just deafening. Duri suggests using a cheerful tone in every song they play. Though at first they didn't really like the idea, but after Duri winked and gave her a kiss with her hand. Finally, this metal band changed the flow of music. Duri invites them to play music on the streets. Surprisingly, many people liked the band's new appearance. They managed to raise a lot of money from their shows. And they decided to have dinner together. Since then, Duri and her band are often invited to fill events at a cafe. Since Duri's arrival, Jiha and his friends have changed their image to be more cheerful and fresh. Because of Duri's golden voice, the band's name also soared. One night, when Duri comes home from a gig, she feels someone is following her. Then she quickened her pace, and she caught the man who was stalking her. Actually, the stalker had no bad intentions towards Duri. He just wanted to invite Duri to get acquainted. But unfortunately, he accidentally pulls Duri's clothes. A panicked Duri starts screaming, and she calls for help from the police. As a result of the misunderstanding, the police finally arrested the man. A few days pass, Duri, Jiha, and their band take a music audition. Duri is shocked when she meets the man she previously reported to the police. It turns out that the man is a music producer named Sungwoo. Apparently, he intended to offer a contract collaboration with Duri and her band. However, there was a misunderstanding between the two of them. On hearing the offer, Duri and her band were very happy. Meanwhile, the search for Malsoon continues by Hyun-chul and Mr. Parks. Currently, they are both at the police station. They tried to find clues through CCTV footage. Mr. Park, who felt familiar with the purple umbrella, chose to remain silent and didn't say anything. Mr. Park is suspicious of Duri. When Duri went out, Mr. Park immediately checked Duri's room. He is surprised when he finds some of Malsoon's belongings in Duri's drawers and cupboard. Like a shirt, worn shoes to Malsoon's dentures. When Duri came home, Mr. Park sneaks behind her and tries to knock her out. But reality says otherwise. Malsoon quickly overpowers him and ties him up instead. Mr. Park cries, and he tells Duri that she also killed him. Mr. Park thinks that Duri has killed Malsoon, who is his crush. He feels that he can't live without Malsoon. Hearing this, Duri smiled at Mr. Parks. Suddenly, Mr. Park felt very familiar with that smile. He feels that Duri's smile is exactly the same as Malsoon's smile when she was younger. Finally, Mr. Park realizes that the woman in front of him is Malsoon. Duri also admits it, and she starts to tell the incident that has happened to make her young again. After Mr. Park knows this fact, he finally invites Hyun-chul and Aija to come to his house, and told them that he had met their mother. Mr. Park explains that Malsoon is currently fine, and she is living the life she's always wanted. The next day, Mr. Park comes out, riding his scooter. Trying to look young with a fresh look, he hopes he looks cool in Duri's eyes. Because he wants to take Duri to a concert with her band. Today is the first appearance of Duri with her band that will be covered on TV. Duri's golden voice, coupled with appreciation and the right choice of songs, she and her band were able to enchant thousands of pairs of audience members present and makes viewers at home fascinated. Duri sings a song that reminisces about her past. She remembered the figure of her husband, who died when she was pregnant. She also remembers the moment when she had to sew her husband's ashes alone. Malsun raised Hyunchul and worked hard to support herself and her son. Applause from the audience ended her reverie. It made Duri very moved. Finally, her dream of becoming a singer can come true. A few days later, Sungwoo invites Duri and the others to go on vacation to the pool. Mr. Park also went with them. While playing in the pool, suddenly the waves will come and hit them all. Mr. Park looks scared and continues to hold on to Duri. After some time, the waves hit their bodies. It made Mr. Park and Duri separated. Mr. Park was dragged and stranded by the pool. While Duri looks lucky to be saved by Sungwoo, Duri begins to fall for him. Suddenly, a strange thing happened to Duri's body, which made her have to leave Sungwoo. Duri's leg had been injured in the swimming pool. The area around the wound suddenly got wrinkles like those people get when they get older. In the evening, Duri asks Mr. Park to check for oddities on her feet. Mr. Park tries to stab one of Duri's body parts with a needle. And sure enough, the injured part suddenly shriveled up. They finally realize that Duri cannot be hurt or lose blood. If not, then she will go back to being old. The next day, Duri comes to Sungwoo's house. They spent the evening together, having a pleasant long chat over a glass of wine. From drinking too much, Sungwoo then fell asleep. Duri, who is still awake, gets a blanket to cover Sungwoo's body. And she sang the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star song that she used to sing to her son. The next day, Duri and her band recorded their first single. It was Sungwoo who realized that the tempo of the song was too slow, and it doesn't match the vocal character of Duri. This makes Ji-ha offended. Furthermore, those words came from Sungwoo, a man who seemed to like Duri. Apparently, Ji-ha also harbored feelings for Duri. Ji-ha then leaves the recording studio in an emotional state. Duri went after Ji-ha, knowing this. She tries to persuade Ji-ha to understand that Sungwoo only wants the best for the band. Ji-ha knows that Duri stayed at Sungwoo's house last night, making him even more upset. He accuses Duri of sleeping with Sungwoo. But Duri turned furiously at Ji-ha and hit him. Then she invited her favorite grandson to eat with her. And their relationship improved again. After some time without seeing each other, Duri meets Mr. Park to share her anxiety. Mr. Park asks Duri if she is in love, and Duri agreed. She said that it was the first time she had fallen in love with a man in a long time. As time goes by, Duri and Sungwoo's relationship gets closer. Sungwoo shows more and more interest in Duri, and he didn't hesitate to ask her out on a date. In the evening, Sungwoo drives Duri to the hospital. When they were about to part, Sungwoo pinned a hair clip in Duri's hair, and he kisses Duri's forehead. Apparently, the purpose of Duri's visit to the hospital was to visit Okja, who was reportedly being treated for a stroke. Unfortunately, it was too late. When Duri got there, Okja had died. Suddenly, Duri felt a deep sadness. She saw the old woman who had always quarreled with her was now gone forever. A few days later, Duri and her band were invited by a TV station to appear at the famous annual Spring Festival in Korea. When the concert is about to start, Ji-ha can't come because he's stuck in traffic. Because Ji-ha realized that he didn't have much time. Finally, Jiha decided to get out of the taxi. Then he rented a public bicycle. Dan he tried to pedal as fast as possible, taking the risk of going against the flow of the vehicle. For this carelessness, he must accept the consequences. A truck that happened to be passing hit him, causing Jiha to fall into a coma. Everyone panicked. After hearing the news that Jiha had an accident, Sung-woo as the producer intends to cancel their appearance. But Do-ri refuses. She thinks that the thing to do is to continue the concert, and performed a song that Jiha had composed. Do-ri thinks that Jiha will be happier if the audience listens to his song, because it was her grandson's dream. Finally, the other members agreed. They tried to give their best performance, so that they can bring Jiha's song. It turned out to be well received by many people. Finally, their performance on stage ended with thunderous applause. As soon as the concert is over, Do-ri rushes to the hospital. Because Jiha lost a lot of blood, he needed a blood transfusion. Unfortunately, the hospital's blood supply is empty. The doctor tries to ask Jiha's parents. Maybe someone has the same blood type as Jiha. Hyun-chul could only shake his head, because there is only one person in his family who has the same blood type as Jiha, which is his long-lost grandmother. Because Do-ri loved her grandson very much, Do-ri decides to volunteer to give her blood to Jiha. Seeing this, Mr. Park immediately pulls Do-ri away from her family. He reminds her if her blood is taken, then Do-ri will age again. Do-ri still insists on doing it, as Do-ri walks into the main hallway to get ready to donate. He has listened to all the conversations between Mr. Park and Do-ri. Now Hyun-chul knows the fact that Do-ri is his own mother. He asks his mother not to sacrifice anymore, because she has sacrificed a lot to raise Hyun-chul, and she has sacrificed her youth. Hyun-chul also begs his mother to find her own lost happiness. He hopes his mother can marry the man she loves, and don't give birth to an unfilial child like him. But once again, Do-ri still refuses, and she says it's okay to go back to being old, as long as she can still be with the family that she loves so much. They both cry and hug each other. A year later, Jiha and his band are back on stage again. They did lose a beautiful vocalist with a golden voice, but they found an equally great replacement in Do-ri. She is Hana, Jiha's older sister. Their parents and Malsoon came to watch and encourage Jiha and Hana. Now the relationship between Malsoon and Aija looks better. While walking out of the building, from a distance, Malsoon sees a man who makes her fall in love. Once again, Malsoon couldn't help but smile happily. Meanwhile, Mr. Park finds a photo studio that Malsoon talked about before. This time, Mr. Park saw a photo of a man who looked like James Dean plastered across the window. He rushed into the studio. At the bus stop, Malsoon is shown waiting for the bus. Suddenly, a man came riding a scooter. When the man took off his helmet, his young and handsome face fascinated the teenagers around the bus stop. But the young man chose to take Malsoon with him. The young man was none other than Mr. Park, who got his youth back. At the end of the story, an angry Malsoon yells at Mr. Parks, because he didn't tell her he had an allergy to peaches.